Welcome to Photoshop. So today I'm going to show you how to randomize the snow brush or a snow brush. So right here you can see I've downloaded some brushes. I have some snow brushes. I'm just going to go ahead and use this one. I've got the color set to black for right now, and we're going to come over here and we're going to create a new layer. So whenever you're adding something like this, I always suggest adding new layers, and you might see that I add a couple of different layers, usually one for the background, one for the foreground. So I've got the color set to black, and if I click on this, every time I do it, notice it's exactly the same. So the pattern is not changing, and that's going to look fake after a while because you're going to start to see the pattern repeating. Also, snow doesn't happen to be exactly the same in every single spot. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to randomize a brush. So I've got this brush, and we're going to keep it set to black for now. And we're going to come over here to brush settings. Now that's right down here. Brush settings are right there. You want to bring that up. So the first one we're going to get to is shape dynamics. So we're going to click on shape dynamics. You want to make sure it's highlighted, not selected. So to work on it, it needs to be highlighted. So you'll notice up here I've already got some settings, and right here it's going to give you a display of how this is going to work or what it's going to look like as you adjust it. So you can see as I change this, this is going to be changing down here. So size jitter, meaning do I want the size to stay the same or do I want the sizes to change? And I want the sizes to change. So minimum diameter, how small do I want my minimum diameter to be? So I can get it down to really small to all sort of the same size. So if you look here, these are all the same size. But when I make it smaller, it's getting really small. So we'll keep it down. Angle jitter is going to be sort of the same. So angle is, do we want to keep it in the same area or do we want it to constantly rotate? So I'm going to just put it at about 60%. Roundness jitter, and I'm just going to leave that where it is default. So it's just the roundness of it and minimum roundness. So if I want to change that, we can adjust it. Now these are things you should go on in here and you can try these out. You can also control these by different methods. I have a pen, although I'm not using it now, but we'll just leave it on pen pressure for right now. The next one is going to be called scattering, and I want to select it and make sure it's highlighted. So both axes scatter. So as I make this scatter, notice it's getting farther apart from each other or closer into each other. So I don't know, we'll try it about here. So count. I can control that count. Do I want lots of them or a little? Count jitter. So we're controlling that, and you're seeing what it's doing right down here. The last one that I'm going to use here is called transfer, and this is going to control our opacity jitter. So this will make it so some are really dark and some are very light. So it's going to control whether it seems like it's in the foreground or the background. So flow jitter is the same way. Flow has to do with how many times you go over something. But we'll just kind of bump that up. You'll also see me come up here and change the flow as it is. So usually when I'm doing snow, I'm starting in the back and then working towards the foreground. So when you're in the back, you're going to want smaller snow, and when you get to the foreground, you're going to want larger snow. So now when I click on this, you can see how it randomizes everything. So I'm just clicking on it once, but it's making all these snow marks in all these different areas. Now one of the things that happens with this is you can get snow in the wrong area, but we can easily paint that out with a mask. I'm just going to go back. All right, and first thing I'm going to do is going to pick a snow color. So I want something that's sort of gray. So I'm going to maybe pick this sky color up here, and I'm just going to use my brush and make this a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to start painting some snow in the back of the background here, depending on how much snow you want. So we're good. So now I'm going to increase my snow size as well as make it a little bit brighter. So I'm going to come over here and pick a brighter color, and then in the middle ground we're going to have some snow, and then the last thing that I'm going to do, and for some reason I must have went back and and killed off my layer, but you should be doing this on another layer. And the last thing you're going to do is pick a whiter color. So I'm going to pick the whitest color that I can find, which is probably up here. And I'm going to make my brush much larger. And on this one, I'm going to also lower that opacity a little bit. And so I'm adding some foreground snow. And if I wanted some that were really big, I can make those bigger ones so it looks like it's really up and close. Now, one of the things you could have done in the background is, since sometimes the background snow is going to be softer, so when I normally had that darker color, I think I pick something in here, a darker color, or maybe I'll pick this one, and we had that snow smaller. If you don't want it to be so strong, this is where you're going to lower that opacity, and it's going to sort of blend in better to the background, so it looks a whole lot more realistic. So that is how you randomize your brush and add snow to an image to make it realistic. Now, there's all kinds of really cool snow brushes. You need to kind of find the one that works for your situation. I have realistic ones and fake ones. And hopefully this is helpful. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave those below, and don't forget to subscribe.